It was the lifeblood of music for almost a millennium and houses some of the greatest names in music history. This is classical music. The piano is the quintessential instrument when it comes to classical music, and it has many interesting quirks that people don't know. For example, its full name is the pianoforte, given that you can play any note at any volume. The tension of all the strings in the grand piano adds up to 20 tons of force, and there are around 7,500 moving parts, 230 total strings, and weighs over 1,400 pounds. And despite that the piano is a quintessential instrument, it is only 318 years old, which compared to the flute, which is 700 years older, which could be thanks to its full orchestral range that no other single instrument can do. The trombone is one of the most underrated instruments in a symphony, but it has quite the interesting set of facts. For example, its original name was called the Sackbut. Beethoven's Fifth was the first symphony to include the trombone. The word trombone was derived from Italian, literally translating to big trumpet. The trombone is designed for right-handed use exclusively, meaning that any left-handed person must learn to play with their right hand, as there is no left-handed model. And according to various sources, composers such as Beethoven describe the trombone as being, quote, the voice of God. Speaking of Beethoven, he was always very meticulous even when he wasn't writing music. For example, when he wanted to drink coffee, he counted out 60 coffee beans every time. For his first symphony, he insisted that the start would be different from other symphonies purely to be different, and his third symphony was dedicated to Napoleon until he became emperor, where he scrubbed out his name out of pure rage. The violin is often considered as one of the most pleasing sounding instruments to the ear, and has quite the reputation in classical music. A single violin is made over 70 pieces of wood, all glued together by hand with the exception of the bridge, which is held in place by the tension of the strings. The word violin comes from Latin meaning stringed instrument and are typically made of spruce or maple wood. The bow of the violin is composed of 150 to 200 hairs of either nylon or horsehair, and the strings of the violin can be made out of anything from sheep gut to solid steel. And possibly the most famous scientific equation ever derived, equals mc squared, came to Albert Einstein while he was playing the violin. Contrary to popular belief, playing classical music to your baby does not significantly impact their level of intelligence, but there is still a good reason to play classical music to a young child. It can improve creativity. While this isn't strictly related to classical music, for example, if played at the right volume, any piece of music can have this effect. However, a vast majority of classical music is already at the specific volume level. So if you want some creativity, put on some classical music and watch the creativity flow.